So do you remember a video I made titled How I Almost Died in the Visit Room? It involved some balloons I was trying to swallow. And the CO I've been talking about in my most recent videos, my friend Casey had brought me 12 balloons and I was able to swallow 8 of them. But after almost 3 weeks, they still had not come out of me. Casey asked her friend who had a guy in another prison she did the same thing for to ask him what I should do to get these balloons to come out of me. When they came back, he said to tell me to find all the peanut butter I could get and eat it straight out of the jar. So I went and got 2 jars of peanut butter and I ate it spoon by spoon within an hour. And guess what? The next morning, almost 3 weeks later, 8 balloons came out of me. I popped one open and the weed had been compressed by the body's pressure into a hard ball, like a golf ball. Not that big though. The worst part about it is it stunk really bad. It stunk like crap, literally. So I emptied all 8 balloons into a commissary cereal bowl. I fluffed it up, let it air out. And during this process, me and my cellie were locked in our cell. I didn't want the door open with this weed sitting on the locker. People come try to rob you. You don't want anyone knowing your business or any of that. It was about 7:30 p.m. and my door just popped open out the blue. No other doors are open. And other inmates looking up at me, they're gonna think I'm telling or I'm an informant or something. I poke my head out the door just to see what's going on. And all I see is a CO uniform headed down the tier my way. We were on the top tier. I could tell it was a big hat, which is a sergeant or a lieutenant. By the time I got to the door and peeked my head out though, I didn't have time to do anything, man. He was already there. This officer did many things for me, but he and I had never had interactions with something illegal between us. By the time I backed up and had my back to the bowl of weed on the locker, the CO was coming through the door. He walks straight in and says, "Man, what is that?" He was like, "Step out the way, man. Let me see what you got." I was like, "I ain't got nothing, man." He was like, "Man, come on, man." He was like, "I can smell it all the way down the tier." So I was like, man, I stepped out the way, took a chance. And he looked at it. He got all up close on it. He was like, "Wow, it looks good." He was like, "Oh, it stinks, man." I was like, "Yeah, but it'll air out." I was like, "It ain't wet or nothing." He was like, "Man, can I have a butt of this?" I was like, "Yeah, go ahead, take it, but how you gonna get it?" So he pulled out his Black and Mild box out of his pocket. He smoked Black and Milds. So he pulled the cellophane off, took the bud, put it in there, rolled it up, took his boot off in my cell, packed it up in the front, put his boot back on, tied it up. The whole time, people down in the pod, they don't know what's going on, but they can see up in my cell that something's going on. They can see, but they can't hear us or whatever. He puts his boot on, he stands back up, and he pulls his wallet out, pulls out a picture of Nakahili, whap, slaps it on the table. He's like, "Look, man, I had to cut myself out of this. You already know why. I can't have that up in here." He said, "But if you ever get her current phone number, dude," he said, "I'll give you $100 cash for it." So he put his wallet back in his pocket and he heads out and my door shuts behind him. My cell partner was backed against the wall the whole time, sweating, quiet, scared to death. I was like, "Man, nah, never mind." After this happened, I ran down a maniac's cell when the doors opened at the next cell break and told him about what happened. I was like, "Man, you think I'm all right, man? This dude seen the weed, took some of it." He was like, "Man, yeah, you all right." He was like, "That dude is on your team, man." I went back in the cell, shut the door, and continued fluffing the weed every so often. And that was that.